Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nerdly Out Loud podcast, the official podcast of nerdly.co.uk, and this is the Romford Sessions. And just like that, the horror festival, or horrific, is over, and we are moving into next weekend, because why not have two massive festivals in 1 month? I mean, that's a good idea, isn't it, Spencer?
Yes. That gives you almost a year to recover, except not a year, because it's only like 7 months till the next one.
As you can see, I am joined by poster boy Spencer Hawken of the Romford Festival and Kaleidoscope man himself at the bottom there, Mr. Peter Blunden, who is now YouTube, Facebook famous again with his nominations for Best Short today. How are you today, Peter?
Very good, thank you. Very good. It was lovely to be recording from the Costa del Romford again, just like last year.
It did look sunny as hell.
Yeah, very nice, very lovely today.
So we are on for this episode of the Romford Sessions because we have another interview coming up for you, and we thought, why not tie it in with the nominations of the Best Short Film. We'll not mention which one it is just yet, but we're going to have a little sort of round table chat about the nominations for Best Short Film, because this year there was a super strong category. There was loads of films in there. We managed to get it down to 8. It was a hard, arduous task, but we got there. So, Peter, why don't you give us sort of the first nomination for the short film, Best Short Film, that stands out to you and one that you want people to check out?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there were so many, and as what I said in my video today, we could have literally had dozens, and I think we did have dozens on the long list. There were so many. It was so difficult to get it down, but we did. I enjoy all the ones that are on the list. I mean, they're so varied as well. Like, we've got some things from comedies to more serious things, to action, really good action, to really well written dramas, and also animation as well. So it's such a wide and varied selection this year. I think it's a really strong category. How do I pick one? I mean, I really enjoyed a drama called Queen Luck, for example, which is set in America, and it's sort of like a small town in America, the kind of place that that gets covered, a fair amount in indie films. It reminded me of things like Shotgun Stories or Take Shelter, that Jeff Nichols kind of aesthetic, sort of snowy landscape, and there's sort of an air of melancholy about the small town. It's one of those kind of towns that everyone sort of wants to leave but never quite does, which I really enjoy films like that. So it sort of follows. I mean, it's a short film. It's sort of split in half, where the first half follows one female character and the second half follows another one, and they're linked. They both work together and they have a conversation at the sort of midpoint. But yeah, it goes in some really interesting places, beautifully shot, absolutely incredible looking. And both the lead actresses are fantastic. A really strong piece of work, and the writing as well. And everything about it, I loved. Queen Luck. Yeah.
Over to Spencer now, and if you had to pick one that you really think people should check out, although they should check them all out, from the list of Best Short Films, which one would you spring for?
Well, this is quite funny, really, because as Peter was saying, we had such a long short list. And this is the trouble. You get hundreds of films submitted every year. It's like, how do you narrow that down? How do you narrow down those films whilst trying to show as many films as you possibly can? Because otherwise we're doing an injustice to the people that are submitting the films. So, for me, one film stands out, and it stands out for all the wrong reasons. Now, I say that with affection, right? And that is because some may argue that this is a different type of film, and it made me laugh so much. And the film opens with a funeral of a character, and the funeral is attended by a group of mourners and a monkey and an ostrich. Oh no, actually the ostrich isn't there. It's just the monkey, because I think the ostrich is at home ill or something, got an injury, and this is a puppet monkey that is the main character in this film. This film is called Autumn Never Dies, and it is puerile, immature, and everything bad about this world. But I'm telling you now, I have not laughed so much in such a long time. This is a really, really ridiculously funny film. And I know that, our little love triangle here, we all shared videos and comments as we were watching the film, and videos flying around between us, our favourite scenes and all this sort of stuff. Just so funny, just so clever to hold it all together and to have these puppets interacting with humans. And some of the one-liners are out of this world.
Yeah, we can't repeat them here, but they are hilarious.
But, you know, if you think about it, Ricky Gervais got famous for less. So the guys that made this, I expect big things from them.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait to see what these guys come up with next. And you're right, it's funny because I don't know. I don't want to say most other film festivals, but a film like this might not sneak into sort of the best film category, best short film category in most other festivals. But it hit here, and it just sort of like slipped under the radar enough to get enough kind of love to make that shortlist. And even though not everybody loved it, but some of us did, and it's a cracking little short.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised to see it in the list. I wasn't sort of expecting to see it, but yeah, I was very pleased when I did see it in the list. And
and it genuinely made us laugh.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to sound disrespectful, independent filmmakers, but independent film comedy is a very, very difficult task to achieve, because what is funny to you isn't funny to other people generally. And because it is an independent film, you don't have that filtration system of all these people to clean it up and make it right and make the timing snappy. And that's why there's so few independent comedies that get actually out there. They have to be something unique. It's a really hard task. I mean, you look at like last year, I think we pretty much had one comedy in our selection. It's hard. It's hard in independent cinema to make a good comedy. And yes, this really made me laugh out loud. And one of the videos that Peter sent to me, he's laughing out loud as he was filming it and sending it to me, because he just couldn't believe what he was seeing. Incredible.
Definitely. I think one of the things with what we say about it's hard to make an independent comedy, I think a lot of it is down to the performances, right?
Yep.
I think you've got to be a very good actor, not just a comedic actor, an actor full stop, to pull off comedy. And yeah, I think in the independent circuit, that's obviously more difficult to get someone of real comic, talent. And maybe they landed on something here by using a puppet and a voice. A voice. You can't, got to give props to the guy that did the Glaswegian accent on the monkey.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, like, monkeys alone, like puppet monkeys alone, are pretty funny. But stick a Scottish accent on there, and you're 90% of the way there.
And let's not forget the classy landlord Moose.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I mean, how many pub landlords are not only mooses but run speed dating events?
There's not many of them, let's be honest. So I'm gonna throw one out there as well. We have a movie in the best nominations list, best short films list, called Officer Down. I was a huge, massive fan of Officer Down. It's one of those ones that I think Peter said it a few times when we were discussing the nominations and the selection process and everything. It's just so high octane and adrenaline and action that we just weren't expecting this. Yeah. And it kind of just comes out the gate, ramps up the tension and goes for it. I really want people to check it out. I'm sure everyone will, but I thought that was a standout film for me.
Yeah, really great.
It was a blinder. I saw it at the Fighting Spirit Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
And I just thought, yeah, this is really good. And during that process, I discovered, which I hadn't realised, that you had actually referred them to us, hadn't you? to show it to us. So I didn't realise at that moment in time it was already in our lineup, like as in submitted films.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you've got Jason Summerby from the Renford Rejects. You have to submit that into your festival.
But yeah, the fight choreography in Officer Down was absolutely. I mean, I said this in my notes. I think when we were writing the notes about the submissions, as good as anything you'd see on TV. It was a really good TV drama series. Really strong, excellent work.
So what I'm going to do is, because we have our guest coming in very soon, I am about to do something super highly technical. This could fail, but it could also be amazing. And you're going to see the nominations at the bottom of the screen. And if the guys would like to maybe pick anything out and see what they want to mention on the way, look at this. Best short film.
New leash of life.
I was going to say, Peter, why don't you announce these like you did today so eloquently?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so the best short film list was as follows: New Leash on Life, Autumn Never Dies, Lunch Hour with the President, Officer Down, Queen Luck, The Gesture and the Word, The Snow Maze, and The Two of Us at the Edge of the World. Awesome. Really great category this year.
Now see if you can do that with the ticker coming under your under your chin.
I kind of thought to myself, I thought he's doing that a lot quicker than the ticker is.
I have come pre-prepared.
So, just a quick one before our guest does come in, and I'll reveal it now. The guest we have coming in just in a minute is Helen Alexis Yonov. I've probably screwed that last name up, as I always do, and I apologize in advance, but she will be coming on shortly. She is the director of The Gesture and the Word, which was a great little film that made our shortlist, made the nominations list, and we're going to be talking to her in a quick second. But what I wanted to do first, is there any movies that you guys can think of that didn't quite make the list that you maybe feel should have?
How long have we got? Not long.
Short films here, yeah?
Yeah, short films.
Short films, ones that were really close. There was one that was, for me, it was The Obituary of Jasper James or Augustus.
Both
so
cracking.
Near, so far. Pierre?
I really liked one, a Soviet film called Blood, B-L-U-D. I really enjoyed that. It's a sort of, it's hard to describe, but it's kind of like a film where it's in a small town again, and there's sort of like an inherent sort of evil in this town. It's like an evil spirit, and bad sort of things happen to good people in it. And there's sort of shady gangster kind of figures, and a guy who starts off, well-intentioned and all that kind of thing, and gets gradually corrupted by the sort of the atmosphere and the inherentness, like the evil in the town. Really interesting, quite unique thing a unique story, which I really liked. Yeah, and really good direction on it as well. So that was Blood. I really enjoyed that, but unfortunately didn't quite make the list.
Yeah. And for me, you mentioned before about animations. We had some stellar animations. I really wanted to see Stray Katana make that list. That was a wonderful piece of work, and I hope people check that out next weekend because, Yeah, that was pretty solid. That was a good film. Helen is now sitting in the green room. I can see her down there, which is awesome. Bradley is one of our other judges. He may be joining us in a moment, hopefully, along with Louise. That would be awesome. We'll catch them up to speed when we get there. But I'll tell you what, guys, I will just bring Helen into the room now, and let's chat about the gesture and the word.
You have a new flower today. It's very fragrant. Where do you get these flowers?
Oh, there's this a woman down the street, a florist.
Eloise.
Yeah,
And you like her?
Anything interesting today?
I think she's very nice.
Nope.
Sorry.
It's only dinner. Tough day.
Disappointing.
Is everything all right?
How can I make someone see me for more than they think I am?
What do you see?
Is anybody else like really impressed by how professional I'm starting to get when we do this?
It's been noted.
It's like every week I just level up and level up. But what are you going to do? You have to. Helen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. It's actually about noon here in Los Angeles.
So we are here. We are Spencer and Peter and myself are members of the panel and the selection and jury and everything for the Romford Film Festival. We are showing your movie, The Gesture and the Word, next weekend there, and we can't wait for people to see it. But what we wanted to do was get you on to talk about the short a little bit, talk about yourself a little bit, and just try and promote it a bit more, and let people know about this little movie, because I think we'll all agree in the room here, it's one that has won us over.
Oh, good. That's wonderful to hear. Oh, my God.
But I will let the guys introduce themselves as well, and then we'll crack on.
Go on, Peter.
Yes, I'm Peter, and I've been working with the festival. This will be my second year on the selection committee and jury. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm Spencer, and I've been here. This is the 5th year, and I've been here all 5 years.
He is the poster boy. Don't let the self-deprecation get to you. You are the poster boy of the festival.
Some posters shouldn't be seen.
There is that as well. So, Helen, we are going to start off talking about Gesture and the Word, but first of all, such a special little movie, such a nice little story to be told. Why don't you tell us a little bit in your words what the movie is about and where it came from, the inspiration for it?
Oh, wow. Well, it's about a postman who really does not have the best self-confidence. And he lives vicariously through these postcards that are sent from a man to a woman. And he's traveling the world, Eric is, and the postman, Gilbert, lives vicariously through their relationship. But then as it unravels, he gets connected with all the other people that are on his route, 2 other people, especially a poet who's blind and a flower shop owner. So it's really about love, and I think finding out that you are capable, even if you think you're not like the most loved person or lovable person, that it's all possible. And for me, I lived in Paris, France for 7.5 years, and I used to watch like postmen walking around, postwomen, and I was like, what would happen if they started reading postcards? And what would make this person absolutely obsessed with figuring out what this person's life was all about? And I had done a stint for summer at the Rhode Island School of Design when I was in high school. And one of the things that we did after we left the school was my friends and I would send each other postcards that we would create. So it was our own artwork, and we'd send to each other. And I just thought that would be the perfect way of incorporating art. I did all the postcards myself for the film. And so it was this really, Eloise was inspired by a friend of mine who did burlesque and also has her own flower shop stand. So a lot of it comes from ideas of people and things around in my life. So I guess in a weird way, I've got a very magical life to be able to pull all these wonderful little tidbits that have magic in them.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I'm glad you mentioned the French living in France for a bit and everything, because there is a very Jean-Pierre sort of Jeunet kind of Amélie feel to this movie, and that was something that struck me straight away. Sort of like the color grade, the score, the music in the background, and it's one of the things I genuinely loved about the movie. So was that an inspiration to you? Was that something you were trying to do consciously?
100%. I was like, I love Amélie, I love Jeunet, I love so much like Delicatessen, City of Lost Children. I also was inspired, after I wrote it, I realized that Rostalle is very much a Cyrano de Bergerac sort of character. And so like Rostalle, I think, is the man who wrote the book. And Rostalle, I didn't want to be so, hit it on the head. So I changed the name a little bit. But Amélie was such an inspiration. French cinema is such an inspiration for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was more. Got a statement really for you. Like, I described this film, which as like a warm hug, and we get a lot of obviously very dramatic films, obviously, to come to the festival, and heavy subject matter, which all of course have their own place. But this film, I think we all agree, was it was so uplifting and so. The emotions in it was so, I don't want to say nice, because nice isn't the right word, but, upbeat, positive, and just what we needed. And really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like a breath of fresh air, really. And I thought that was one of the strongest parts about it. But it wasn't, at the same token, it wasn't sappy, it wasn't manipulative. It was just so well done, tone-wise. Really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Thank you. I think one of the things for me is when people say that it makes them happy, especially during the pandemic and things that have been going on in people's lives, when people are like, you just made me really happy. That was because I've written stuff where it's really dark, and this is this is an unusual approach for me. So the fact that it is, I think, authentically uplifting, it means so much to me.
I think you're right as well, because last year when we were doing the festival, we were like smack bang in the middle of a pandemic, and we were watching all these movies for the festival. And as Peter says, there was a lot of hard-hitting sort of movies that were submitted to us during a time that was pretty hard-hitting anyway. And then this year, we've kind of come out of it a little bit. Not quite there yet, but we've come out of it a bit. And we get movies like Gesture and the Word that comes along. And it's just like, it was really uplifting. I echo what Peter said there, definitely.
So you've created this film, and it's been going around the world, and you're picking up awards left, right, and centre. Everyone's loving this film. For me, and I hope this doesn't upset you, it had a real feel of a 1940s movie, like that kind of classic film where nobody gets hurt, nobody dies, no one's offended by foul language. There's a nice story. Forgetting COVID, because some of your first screenings were ahead of COVID, weren't they? Why do you think that this film is resonating so much with the public, and certainly the film festival audiences and judging panels that are seeing it?
Well, I think part of it is the fact that it came in at the right time to be something that people want to have an uplifting moment. But I think I have to give it to my cast and crew. They, like, the actors that are in this film are so good that if we didn't have a Paul Dooley or a Nicola Liberté or James Michael Tyler, these lines could be so silly. Some of, like, the way that Rostalle has this poetry coming out of him, if the wrong actor had said that, it would have just fallen flat on their face, like, terrible. So I think I have to give it to the actors, the 5 cast members that are my main cast, even the supporting were wonderful. But I think it was like the perfect storm in a way of like talent and collaboration that it's just a good piece of art that really, I would like to hope, yes, it didn't have the hard hitting. I do wonder sometimes, because it didn't have an edge to it. I was wondering how people would react to it, because I know a lot of film festivals love the edge. They love all these sort of, hit you in the face and make you go, wow. But the fact that there is no swearing, that it is about love, I just think that we pulled together a really good piece of work. And that's why people like it, is that it's all around solid.
How involved were you in the casting?
I was very involved. James Michael Tyler, who played Gilbert, is one of my closest friends. So I thought he would be amazing for it. I got Paul Dooley through a friend who said, why don't you, I told him sitting next to him at a bar, like, God, I need an older man. And at this point I'm thinking like 80 maybe. And then he goes, well, my friend is a really well-known actor who's 91 at the time. And I never thought that Paul Dooley would say yes to me. So I got that opening through a friend. Roxanne Mesquita is a French actress. We went through her manager. She's the only person that we really had to seek out and had no connection with. My producer, Andrea Fellers, she was friends with a young actor on the show Lethal Weapon. And so she was able to get Andrew Creer through Lethal Weapon, the TV show. And then Nicola Liberté was a friend that she had met many moons ago. So it was really a collaborative effort, and I'm lucky. Very lucky.
Very lucky.
When you're watching the film pan out, because there's always that point, isn't there, when you're making a film where you see it one way and then an actor kind of delivers it in a slightly different way. Did you have any like real moments of elation when you were filming, that you were just like, you couldn't believe what was happening before you, how it was coming out? And was there a specific moment that really kind of like hit you?
Yes. I think two really big things were James Michael Tyler, because I've known him as a buddy that, I know he's a good actor, but to see him really take on this role and to see him inhabit this character was just like the biggest warm hug you could possibly have. But also when Paul Dooley was doing the monologue really about flowers and the love letter that is to Aurore, I'm just sitting there like watching this man recite my words, and I'm like, did I write that? Like, I actually had a moment where I was like, I had to look at the script and be like, is he ad-libbing? Like, that was a moment where I was so impressed by him, but also like, oh, I succeeded. I did it. I made it happen where, oh my goodness, it's working. And I think I was in London and I did a directing for actors workshop, Adrian Wise, and I really learned a lot about working on how I work with actors through that workshop, because I really like to just ask questions. So we didn't have a rehearsal. We offered the roles to everyone, and then they came on set and we're like, let's see how this goes. And you have great actors, so it's like, well, it should go fine. But there was so little need to tweak. And you have to trust the people you choose, because they arrived on set perfectly able to create these characters. I was blessed.
Paul Dooley has been in everything, hasn't he? The guy's been in so much. You can't even list how many films and TV shows that guy's been in. What did you learn anything from him yourself, Helen, on set? Like, what experience do you take away from working with a guy with that track record?
To be confident in myself, really. I think he is such a gentle soul, and he's such a gentleman that, of course, when I was walking onto set, I'm like, oh, geez, like, what is he going to be like? He's done over, I think, 200 titles, not even like the episodes that he's done on TV. He's worked with Julia Roberts and, 16 Candles and everything. And I was like, he taught me to trust myself, to believe in myself. If someone of this caliber is going to come to my set and it's going to be a short film, I have to trust that I'm actually doing something of quality, and not to sit there and go, oh, I'm nobody. I haven't done that much. I have a production assistant directing background, but he really taught me to trust my gut. And he taught me that you don't have to manhandle your actors. I already knew that, but he really instilled that the practice of working with someone that just needs a question and a nudge, and to work with soft hands, work with soft tone. I always say keep it simple and subtle. He really instilled that you don't have to control your cast. You really just have to say, here's a thought. What do you think?
How long did the film take to make from start to finish?
Ooh. We started I had written the script in Paris a couple years prior to giving it to Andrea Fellers, who was my producer at the time. And we worked on developing, just expanding it a little bit more. And then she went into pre-production with me, and we did that for about 2 months. And we shot at the end of May, beginning of June of 2019. And then I think we had it completely done almost a year later. Like, I'd say March is when we were like, okay, we have something to show, because we had a couple hiccups along the way in regards to losing an editor at one point, and having to find someone else, and finding the right color correction person. And so, as we all know, film is not, cookie cutter along the lines, linearly perfect. And then I think March is when we finished. And then we started getting into, I think, our first festivals in June or July. I'm working with Rebecca Louisa Smith, the film festival doctor. And so she's been amazing in getting our film out there. So it's been about 9 months. Long-winded answer.
Yeah. She is very good at getting the films out there. I mean, she's, and because she's so in tune with this type of project,
yeah, I
think you couldn't have gone to somebody better to help get it out there, because this is kind of her, isn't it? This is this is right in her A game, so to speak. So tell us a little bit about some of your successes with the film, in terms of like, where is it shown, how many physical, any highlights of physical festivals that you'd like to talk about that it's been at?
Well, we've been very fortunate. We've gone to about 65, 70 festivals. We've won about 56 awards, everything from Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actors. Every person on the crew and cast has been really had a hat tip to them, which is wonderful. We've shown at LA Shorts, Holly Shorts, Cleveland International Film Festival. I was just in the Sarasota Film Festival in Sarasota, Florida. And I actually physically went there with my mother, who's the executive producer. And that was really lovely to be in space with people and talking to people. I also went to an Arizona film festival called Sholo. That was really great because I was able to see the film on the big screen, and any filmmaker is going to say that's the best thing to experience. And I got to see it 3 times. I got to see how the audience reacted to it, how other filmmakers. That's what I really miss about this whole pandemic, is that I did a short film in the late 2000s called The Weight of It, and we went to Rhode Island International Film Festival and things like that. And to meet other filmmakers too, that's something I've really missed out of all this. But having moments where you can talk to, like, the 3 of you online, the fact that a lot of film festivals have taken the opportunity to go online and to connect people through that, I don't know how it would be if we didn't have this access.
So my question here is, it's a little bit of an extension of that last question, is that the movie's out there, people are absolutely loving it, it's making a lot of people happy, you're winning tons of awards. What is the nicest thing you've heard said about the film that's made you happy?
This is the weirdest thing. I know exactly what I'm going to say. It was an English film festival. I don't remember which film festival it was, but the gentleman had been going through insomnia, and he could not sleep for like 3 months. And everyone's like, don't tell this story. He watched the movie, finished the movie, and was so relaxed, he went to bed. And I was like, oh my God, this has made this man who's been going through actual hell over the last 3 months so relaxed that he can actually sleep. And people are like, you made your guy fall asleep. I'm like, no, I made him happy. Yeah, it's not the point. He fell asleep. Great. Like, he didn't have insomnia for a night. That is huge. It's just the fact that it's made people happy is the best feeling a person could have out of a film like this.
I have like a series of films, you know, like if I'm having a bout of insomnia, I have a list of films that I always go back to. Lost in Translation, Shakespeare in Love, Roman Polanski's The Tenant. 3 very different films, but these 3 films, there's something about them that, and the one that I spoke about earlier with Kevin, the little girl who lives down the lane. These films, there's something about them that it takes me to a happy place. So I can fully appreciate that a film like The Gesture and the Word is going to take people to a happy place. And I certainly think that showing your film on our opening night ahead of, you know, like right at the start of our night, I think it's a really nice way to take our audience through the rest of the festival. You know, they're going to sit down and have a really fantastic, beautiful experience with, you know, really ultra talented actors delivering a really well written story that is perfectly directed. So well done to you, and thank you obviously for letting us show it, because that is just fantastic. Having it in Romford, you know, it's about time that Romford gets known for something other than knife crime. A really nice film, you know, that's gonna take the odds.
Part 2 is going to be knife crime, gesture, and knife.
No, funnily enough, that's just what I was going to get onto. What is next for you?
I am twirling a lot of different plates at the moment. My mother keeps saying, twirl one plate at a time. I want to make Gesture a feature. I also am working on a feature that is a smaller one location piece, because I think Gesture will be a little bit more expensive than what this one location could be. I'm working on a documentary about my father, who was a diplomat and naval officer. And I'm doing an interview series that I am shooting at the end of the year about women's rights in America, and how the Me Too movement is a symptom of a greater ill, and how we need to look at women's rights, education, healthcare, and also look at men as our allies, not our enemies, and really work on bringing equality and equity and care and love as a not just an American thing, but I also want to talk to women who work in their fields outside outside our country, to kind of see where are we in the grand scheme of women's rights. So a lot of different things.
I was going to say, a lot of very, very different genres as well.
Yeah.
I would think all the awards you're getting for Gesture, I think that's got to hold some weight in terms of getting funding to move into a feature, though, hasn't it?
I actually have been very fortunate that the film has raised a couple eyebrows, and I've gotten a couple of really wonderful introductions to people. So like the one location is 3 time periods in one location, and I'm really hoping that we can do it for not like an exuberant amount of money, because it's my first feature. So I'm not looking to do anything too wildly expensive. So yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Considering, you know, you're talking about, you know, moving to your first feature, if you can deliver a feature as expertly as you delivered your short, I think we should all be very honored to be talking to you right now, because I think in 2 or 3 years' time, we're probably not going to find it so easy to get to you.
Oh gosh. 2 things, as my mom says, from your lips to God's ears, but also I think like being a filmmaker, there should be no barriers to talking to people that love movies, that respect that. And I'm so thankful that you think that highly of me and my work. You just made my day.
Excellent. Well, what I would say is, in 2 years' time, I'm going to remind you of this conversation. Just in case. Just in case. We only get as far as your PA or whatever it is, your agent.
I will take your call. I'll take all your calls.
How shameless does this man get?
You've got to do it. But I think the one thing, you know, like there's considering your success, there's so much what's the word I'm looking for? You're so in your place, you know, if you know what I mean, you know your place in the world. You're happy with who you are and where you are. There's no ego coming off, considering you've got like 56 awards under your belt, which wouldn't have happened if not for you. Even those little tiny awards, you know, whether it's, I don't know, best costume or whatever, that's all as a result of your vision, and you've delivered that. And yeah, I think it's just absolutely fantastic, and I think a real like testament to what you've done, what you've delivered in, you know, 2010, 2020, 2021, to deliver something this pure and kind of innocent is a real refreshing change. And yeah, I think, as I said, I think our audience are absolutely going to love this to bits. And if they don't, then we will turn to the knife crime again.
Okay, I'm happy to wield my, you know, I can.
That's one of those shoot your shot moments.
if you could select. I mean, obviously, going to Gesture and the Word as a feature, you'd love to be able to get your existing cast back, I'm assuming. Is there anyone else you'd like to bring into the mix that's in your mind?
For the feature, I don't, you know, when I write, I try not to write with people in mind, because I think that so puts you in a box. But there are actors out there like Ava Green, like, not for this, but like Ava Green to me is one of the greatest actresses out there. Like, I wrote to completely negate what I just said. I wrote a feature many years ago. The reason I moved to France was to write a feature, and I wrote it with Ava Green in mind. And like, she's just, to work with someone of that caliber, to be lucky enough to work with someone of that caliber would be a dream.
I think it's
so Ava Green, if you're hearing this.
Yeah. And I think this is the thing. This is the thing. You've set your goal, and now your challenge with your, you know, by the time we get to the end of this year, you know, your 100-odd awards that are now being used as a way of supporting your home because it's so heavy. You are gonna I think it's really key. I mean, I made some really awful films, you know, 10 years ago, but I specifically had who I wanted in my mind, and I hunted those down. And I think it's really key that you kind of do that and you follow that through. So I expect to see her in a feature film by yourself in the imminent future.
I really would love that.
You should say at this point that all the awards that you might have won to this point are going to pale into significance for being nominated for our festival, as we announced today. I don't know actually if you know this, Helen, but we announced our nominees for best short film, and yours was one of them. I don't know
my
if you
goodness!
Yet, so you should say, you know, that's obviously going to be the number one. The number one prize or the number one accolade for yourself is being nominated for
Romford.
No, but you know,
I mean, don't get too excited. We're not saying you've got it.
I can hope. No, but nominations are like yes, winning something is like the greatest thing, but to be nominated, to be in a festival, it can be any size festival. It's about the audience. It's about getting the film in front of people and having people like it. That is the best thing. But I did not know I was nominated for that. So thank you.
Oh well, you need to keep an eye on our page, because something tells me there may be some more coming.
Also, you are up against stiff competition, because we have a Glaswegian monkey puppet in the running too.
Monkey puppet?
You need to check out Autumn Never Dies.
I am like so intrigued right now. Like, I want to see a monkey.
You want to be more intrigued, more than intrigued. It is a phenomenal movie.
We talk about it at the beginning of this video, so you can check that out later on.
I've got one more quick question for you, Helen. If you were trapped on a desert island and you had 5 films that you could take with you, what would you take?
Okay. The English Patient, Dr. Zhivago, Red out of the Blue, White, Red Kieslowski trilogy. But if I can make the trilogy one, I'd take the trilogy with me.
Ooh.
Okay.
La Reine Margot, Queen Margaret by Peter Charles.
Yes.
That is incredible and wow. And my 5th one would be Bridget Jones's Diary. I love that movie.
Why not?
Why does nobody ever say Lethal Weapon 2?
I'm a big fan of Lethal Weapon 2.
Those films of that era, like the Die Hard, the Lethal Weapons, I just loved watching them. Yeah. I love Die Hard.
Right. Well, Helen, I think we're going to let you go. This has been absolutely awesome. Unless anybody's got any last questions they want to ask, I'll leave the floor open for a second, and then we can wrap it up.
No, it's a lovely place to end. Thank you so much for submitting, Helen. Such a good film. And as Spencer said, I think audiences will absolutely love this film.
I wish I could beam myself there. I do.
Well, remember that in 2 years.
I will beam myself over.
One last thing that I like to do before we let our guests go is absolutely put them on the spot and ask them to tell our audience or our listeners why they should come to the festival and check out your movie, The Gesture and the Word.
It's been a very difficult year and a half. And if you want to have a lighthearted, wonderful feeling at a festival where you've got a lot of really wonderful people that love cinema, this is the place to go and watch the film, because you'll be surrounded by people just like yourself who love a good movie.
I think a lot of people need to see it right now. It's definitely one that's going to, as you say, put a lot of people to sleep.
And thank you for a wonderful interview, because it's been really delightful. And I'll see you in 2 years, Spencer.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, gentlemen.
That was Helen Alexis Yonov. And again, I've probably ruined that name. I always ruin last names like that. That was awesome, guys. What more can we say about this movie that I think we've already said? It is up for the Best Short Film at the festival, along with 7 other great titles. So what do you guys think about The Gesture? Because we never really spoke too much before the preamble, before she came on, but now we can talk about the movie a little bit more ourselves. So what are your general feelings of the movie, even though I think we've just gushed about it for about half an hour?
Go on, Peter. You can start.
I mean, for me, the performances are excellent. We didn't touch upon, some of the, the caliber. We did touch upon it, but not in quite the depth. I mean, we got James Michael Tyler, we should say, is the lead, who plays the postman. He was Gunther in Friends. If that name didn't ring a bell to everybody, it will now. Nicole Labate, I believe is how you pronounce it. She's been in a lot of TV and feature films, and she's also, Spencer, I think you probably did know this. I think we might have spoken about this. She appears in the latest series of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Which we both very, very, very much enjoyed. So, yeah, and of course, obviously, Paul Dooley. I mean, as Helen said, he's been in hundreds of credits from everything from Cars, he's voicing Cars, to Robert Altman films, to Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's one of those that guy actors who you've seen in everything. And yeah, the cast is so wonderful, so good, and yeah, the script that they deliver as well is great. Just such a lovely film, brilliant film. Definitely check it out.
I should add, so if I quickly turn my light on, because it's got very dark in here. Behind me, this section here is pretty much all horror. I have another wall over here, and that has horror in it as well. So just so you understand what sort of person I am, I love horror. I love the giallo. I love thriller. I love everything to levels of extreme. But putting that aside, I also am one of those really sad people that I put my Christmas decorations out very early in November. And it's not because I necessarily love Christmas so much. I like the lights. I like the feel of how your home is with your decks in. And then I start the big thing that makes people laugh at me, and that is Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, when I'm at home and I'm not doing anything, I'm on Christmas 24 or Movies 24. It's on in the background. I'm pottering around. I'm doing my everyday stuff. I'm on the internet. I'm doing whatever, and I've got Christmas 24 on. That is what reminds me of the gesture and the word, because nothing bad happens to anyone in Movies 24 land, Christmas 24 land. It's a nice experience. It's an enjoyable time. You can drift in and out. I mean, gesturing the word, it's a short, so there's no time to drift in and out. But as a feature, it would just be that nice film that you can have on as a whole family, sat round in a cold winter with your nice Christmas lights flicking away, and you're going to have a nice time. That is the gesture and the word for me in a nutshell. It's just purely very nice, and it's a change from all this crap that I watch.
All this stabby stuff that you usually like. I don't know about you, Kevin. I'm learning all sorts of new things about Spencer this evening.
Yeah, this has been a weird one. This
I
episode.
didn't expect to hear Christmas 24.
Like, this episode really got deep.
And, I mean, you can't beat a nice Christmas film. I'm sorry. Even whether it's got a big budget or a little budget. I mean, providing it's not a Lee Westwick film, it's always going to be fine.
I wondered how long it would take. Peter, you owe me £5. So anyway, guys, we are going to wrap this episode up. The Romford Festival, is the 24th to the 28th of June. Not this weekend, the weekend after. There are some absolutely fantastic, amazing movies getting shown at the festival, and we want people to go and check it out. I understand things have changed a little bit, though, Spencer. We were going to be having like wide open kind of festival. It's changed a tad now because of Boris, but
yeah. So unfortunately, we're back into the same scenario that we've been for the last two festivals, the horror and last year's festival. We're not technically allowed to do Q&As in the screen. We're going to have to do Q&As, interviews in the little studio room that we've got built. But on the plus side, we will have an open bar. So a positive and a negative.
And just so people know, open bar doesn't mean it's free.
No. Yeah.
I learned that the hard way last night.
It's a bar that is open. So previously, the cinema that we've been in haven't been in a situation that they've been able to open up the bar because of some of the social distancing restrictions. For this festival, they are going to be able to open up the bar, which means that the people that normally kind of drift off and then they miss out on that networking opportunity because the alcohol's missing. They are going to be able to kind of gather together in the bar area and have a chat, put some ideas together, and you never know, make some films that have stemmed from Romford.
Awesome. So knife crime. and of course, it will be a few short weeks after that we bring you Romford Sci-Fi.
That's not happening.
Not another one. I need at least 6 months to sleep.
So next year, the horror festival will be in its usual spot. It's new, but it will have a usual spot, which is going to be February. And the Romford Film, so that's the horror festival, and the Romford Film Festival will sit in its usual spot, which is going to be the last bank holiday in May. That gives people the opportunity to see as much film as they can in a nice long weekend.
I don't know. I feel like after this episode, we really need to be having like a Romford Christmas festival now. You've shown your true colours now, Spencer.
Do you know what? Last year I did contemplate having a day of Christmas films, but then our good mate Boris shut us all down. So.
He's not our good mate. Don't listen to him. Anyway, guys, let's wrap this out. Let's say goodbye, and we will be back for another episode shortly in the next few days, I guess, because we are just churning them out. We've got some awesome guests coming up, and I've got some great things in the pipeline for you all. So, guys, I will let you say goodbye, and we'll wrap it out.
Goodbye.
Bye.
It's always the most awkward part, saying goodbye.